I swear, a day doesn't go by when I don't end up talking about GPUs. And today, well, it's no different. It's all about the AMD Radeon 6700 series. Let's do this. Having learned from the mistakes in the past, and Lord knows they've made plenty of them, AMD decided that with their Radeon 6000 series graphics cards, they basically copy what Nvidia has pretty much kind of always done. Namely that they came out swinging with their big boys, or girls, have to be, politically correct here, first before releasing the more kind of mainstream cards, like the 6700 series. So we have the 6900 XT, the 6800 XT, and the standard 6800. And quite frankly, when compared to what Nvidia has from their 3000 series, they're all honestly pretty damn good, especially when it comes to rasterization. I mean, simply the fact that I can say they're comparable with a fairly straight face kind of says it all as to how far AMD has come. And more so that the Big Navi, as it was, dubbed pretty much thanks to the community, by Dr. Lisa Su, and how she talked about kind of what it was going to be, what it potentially could be for years. Well, it ended up not being just smoke and mirrors. It was real, it's here, and quite frankly, it's about as good as we possibly could have hoped for. Yeah, it's lacking when it comes to ray tracing, but we need to look back to Nvidia's ray tracing performance when they first launched. I mean, games, especially the likes of Battlefield 5, because it was one of the first titles with ray tracing, took huge hits that really kind of needed DLSS to not completely get laughed at by consumers. It was quite a big thing, but I think a lot of people have forgotten. With that in mind though, we're still in a bit of an interesting situation at the moment, as with all the high-end graphics cards already released from both teams, although we do need to use the word released kind of exceptionally loosely because, well, good luck buying one. Both AMD and Nvidia are pretty much now at a point where their lower to mid-tier graphics cards are nearing their respective launch or release dates. And for the general gaming consumer who needs both their kidneys more than a new GPU, you yourself might currently be looking for a reasonably kind of priced upgrade. Yes, we'd all love a 3090 sat in our PC, but sometimes you just have to go with what you can afford, or at least what you can attempt to explain to your significant other. Well, with the AMD RX 6700 XT and non-XT graphics cards likely set for release at the end of March, we may have some new, pretty interesting developments. Well, I say new, but really it's just something else to throw onto the pile of this will probably be happening kind of speculation. And trust me, in this business, we get that a lot. So just what is going on with the 6700 and the XT? Well, following a Twitter post by Andreas Schilling, the editor of German site Hardware Lux, it is not for the first time being suggested that both the 6700 and the XT will come as standard with 12 gig of VRAM. An amount of memory that I think most would agree is pretty much around the current kind of sweet spot for modern AAA gaming. So will this actually happen? Well, again, this isn't the first time we've heard this rumour, as a completely separate source also claimed back in November last year that 12 gig of memory was about the amount of memory we could expect to see. Given the current memory configuration of both the 6900 XT and the 6800 XT, however, I can't pretend this is overly shocking. 12 gig does seem to be the next logical downward progression, and I don't think it needs a degree in computerology to come to that conclusion. Albeit, thanks to the launch of the eTeknix store, we are now giving you the opportunity to purchase your very own computerology PhD, complete with the eTeknix seal of approval. Actually, no, we're not. Maybe one day though, along with, electrical engineering degrees, capacitors, you get it. So sticking with the 6700 XT, there are two major questions that need to be asked. Who is this graphics card being targeted towards? And what can we expect this to compare with on the Nvidia side of the fence? I mean, come on, if we're going to talk about graphics cards, we at least have to put the cat among the pigeons and suggest that one brand, I don't know, could be better than the other. Well, starting with the first question, the new leak suggests that a huge aspect of AMD's 6700 XT marketing will be focused upon 1440p gaming and the general consumer who is after that kind of resolution. So that would imply that the 6700 XT should easily be able to pump out at least a solid 60 FPS on max settings for pretty much all modern AAA games at that resolution. Sounds good to me. If, again, they can get the price right and, if there's actually stock of the card. In regards to competition for Nvidia, however, our best guess is that the 6700 XT will likely be compared, probably by AMD themselves, against the 3060 Ti, or far more likely the standard 3060. With the 3060 set to release, well, soon, I think that's kind of as far as I can go without, breaking any NDAs and getting a slap on the wrist from Nvidia. It does feel like the 6700 XT will be something of a logical response from AMD, particularly if they're trying to target the consumer who's currently eyeing up the unreleased 3060 as their next upgrade from, for example, a 1060 or 1660. Do have to remember, the 1060 is still pretty much the most popular card on the Steam hardware survey. I mean, for the sake of waiting a month, it might be well worth seeing what AMD has to offer, and if it's no good, hey, you've still got the 3060. Pending, of course, the actual retail kind of cost of the RTX 3060. Yes, we know the MSRP is meant to be $329, but what does that even mean anymore with the sorry state of the retail market when it comes to GPU prices? So yes, I have my doubts, but if the recent leaks, which suggest their actual prices are going to be closer to kind of $400, £400 in the UK, AMD could actually strike a big blow here, if they get their own costs right. Admittedly though, in today's market, that's a big if, and even then it's presuming that the scalpers haven't already bought them up all for themselves. Getting so sick of it now. Until Dr. Lisa Su appears on stage in whatever virtual kind of form she chooses, for the moment we just have to wait and see. I can, however, tell you one thing that you don't have to wait for. The new Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro SL memory, with 10-zone addressable RGB lighting for the very best aesthetics, a low profile form factor for maximum compatibility, capacities up to 128 gig, and speeds up to 3600 MHz. It's the only choice for those wanting a low profile set of memory without compromising on looks or performance. Find out more by clicking the link in the description below. And for the general kind of gaming consumer who needs both their Team Red or Team Green, you do have to remember the 1060 is still the most popular GPU on the Steam survey. Survey? What is a survey?